Okay, hello guys, good evening. I am hoping that this is working well. Um, I have gone live one at a time, and anytime I have something that I feel like is just really important. Um, Today I just want to talk to you about if you have ever ended your day feeling like you just did not do enough. Um, so for me, I actually was thinking about this earlier in the week, well, over the weekend, and just like how can we actually um, really work from taking care of ourselves, taking care of our home, taking care of our jobs, and taking care of our kids. And how do we have a little light here because it is dark in here, but how do we do all of that and still, when we don't get everything done, how do we give ourselves grace? Um, so, kind of what led me to this was over the weekend. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled programming. So I'm on call tonight. So what I was going to say though is like, you know, there's a voice, and I get this a lot, which is you should have done more math, or you didn't read enough today, or um, we haven't done enough writing, or we haven't done enough history. All of these things, because like we realize we are responsible for our child's education, and nobody wants our children to have better education than we do, right? And so I, have the same feelings. And there are times when I think, am I even doing a good job? Is like, am I even doing this right? Um, and so, I kind of struggle with my checklist of things. And so here are some things that, maybe can help you is that, you know, going back to your why do you homeschool and thinking about are you actually doing those things. And so like reasons that we homeschool is not so that we can check a box or say, okay, I did this, I did that. It's really just about being able to um, provide education, connection, relationship, um, and have uh, those moments together with our kids. And so, that kind of helps, right? And then also, like, if we're stuck in this get it done, get it done, get it done, then we can do a couple of things. We can just make it a checklist, like, okay, just get through this page today, kind of atmosphere, which is not really fun for you or for your children. Now, the other thing we can do is that we can um, forget our why and forget why we started to begin with. And so now, our why was to give our children a safe space to learn in a rich environment and to offer these rich opportunities and to teach critical thinking and to allow them to explore their own interests somewhat and um, maybe to provide a relationship between you and your child more, maybe to give yourself more time with your children at home. And so, but if we start kind of thinking about we're kicking a box, then we're not really doing what we set out to do, right? So I would say if you have a mission statement, go back to your mission statement. Remind yourself why you're doing this. If you homeschool because you're a Christian and you feel like God has called you to do this, just remember that when He calls us to something, then He fully prepares us and makes sure that we are equipped to fulfill His plans for our lives, right? And so we can just rest in that, knowing that we're going to do everything we can and trust that He's going to come alongside of us and scaffold our children when we mess up or don't get it all done or whatever, right? And then the other thing is that I wanted to share with you. I had over the weekend, I had, let's see, I had a list of things I wanted to get done, right? And so it was really great to kind of come back on this of, you know, rather than thinking I didn't do enough, um, making sure that I have done something in each of the areas of my life to get me towards the goals that I have, right? And so I thought it was really great. So one of the things is that we can, when we say I didn't do enough, we can reframe that thought in our brain to say, today, so suppose that your child has not actually finished a lot of work, but you had a lot of conversations about real life things. You had a lot of um, real life situations, right? Things that you got done. So you can say, today I prioritized my child's emotional regulation. I prioritized our relationship, and I traded that for getting a history lesson completed. And let's be honest, your kid is not going to probably remember these history lessons in 10 years. I'm just saying, like, I feel like our kids do not remember all of the things that we think that they're going to remember. And I know they don't. I know that when my kids were super little, I was really excited to talk about dinosaurs, and I had this string and I stretched it all the way across our house. And I was like, oh, a dinosaur is like longer than 9 school buses. It's like bigger than our house. And like, I bet if you asked them about a dinosaur today, they would have no idea. You know, it was 20 years ago, and it wasn't that, it felt special at the time, but it wasn't so meaningful that they needed to remember it for the rest of their lives. And so the things that they do remember, though, is they do remember the traditions. They do remember that I took time to listen to them, and that I made dinner with them, and that we had conversations at the table. They do remember the stories that we told. They do remember the times that I held their hands and that I, loved on them. And um, they remember that, right? And so, reminding yourself that I'm creating a legacy, and that legacy doesn't necessarily have to include a memorization of facts, right? Um, and if you have little children, reminding yourself that you have plenty of time to go back and talk about the Revolutionary War. You have, you know, 10 years, right? So somewhere in those 10 years, cover the Revolutionary War and you're done, right? Um, and so then just, like I said, reframe what your brain's telling you, I didn't do enough. And reframe that with something that is, I did do what was important to us today. And so here's an example from like exactly what I did. So um, this was not exactly related to school, but I had added some things to my list. Excuse me. So one of the things that you can do is you can say whatever task it was that needed done. So let's say right now it's Christmas time, you need to put up your Christmas decorations. Maybe you've not planned to put up your Christmas decorations, but suddenly the mood strikes you and you need to put them up, or you realize that you have a change of plans and you need to put them up. So you put your Christmas decorations up, and then you just write on your little planner, Christmas decorations done. That way you've added that to your schedule, and you know that that was going to have to be done anyway. Like, it's not like you're doing something that doesn't need to be done. It was something that needed to be done anyway, and now you've gotten it finished, completed. You can move that task off of your plate. You don't have to think about it anymore, and you can have that satisfaction of knowing that you've completed that task. Um, and then, maybe it is you've done reading and math. So you write down reading and math done, right? Um, or maybe you have a job, and so you've done your work for the day, so you check that off of your task list. So you keep track of these tasks that maybe you didn't necessarily mean to do, but you had to do. And that kind of will help you to say, like, I did a lot of things, right? When you look at your list, what did I accomplish today? You accomplished a lot, and I actually didn't realize this, but like I did a whole lot on the weekend. I cleaned my closet out. I put up the Christmas, well, I didn't put it up, but I supervised the Christmas tree being put up. I mean, I helped, I moved the furniture and things like that. Then we put the furniture from the porch outside, brought it in, winterized everything, got ready for winter on the porch, blew off the leaves. We did homeschooling this weekend. Um, we actually went out to dinner. We went grocery shopping, which is a thing for us because we're like 35 minutes from these things. Yes. just to get there and get back, if we do nothing else, is 1 hour. So that takes time. Um, and so when I started to look at all the things that I actually had done, I had done a lot of things. I even like got ahead of my work on the on the weekend. So like I did a couple of things before I had to go to work, and so I did a lot. And so just being able to acknowledge the things that you do helps too. And instead of saying, "Oh, I didn't finish, everything that I had scheduled for the homeschool day," I did get all of these finished, and I also got, X, Y, and Z done. The other thing is like it's really nice when you can actually just write down like these are the 3 things that have to get done today. So, for instance, let's say you've not done your math in a week. Um, Math has to get done today. We start with math because that has to be done today. You've not done your science in ages. Science has to get done today. So like making those like top 3, these things have to get done, and doing those first can really help you to feel like, okay, at least we're catching up in this area, right? Or at least we're doing this in this area. The other thing you can do is you can um, just make a running list of all the things you want to do on the side and pick from that list. Okay, so today's top 3 are this one, this one, this one. So, like for me over the weekend, I really, really, really had to hang my clothes up. I have a whole bedroom that's just a closet, and it was, completely crazy. And so I had to hang my clothes up. So that was one of my, like, I must do this weekend, at least some of it, And so I moved that to that must-do list, right? But you can't have too many must-dos. You have to limit it to time. Say 3 must-dos, and then everything else is like, okay, well, if I get that done, then I can do this other thing, right? Um, and then when you finish those 3 things, you can say, okay, how do I feel? Do I have time to complete one of these other tasks on here? Or am I just trying to like feed that dopamine rush of getting all the things done, right? And so, oh, sorry. So I always say that that's another thing is just practice giving yourself time to rest and saying, okay, I've done enough today. This is fine. I have completed all these tasks. This is fantastic. I'm happy with my progress. And tomorrow I'll add more, right? And that is called being done enough. And maybe you don't have everything on your list done, but I want to tell you, you're not going to get everything on your list done, probably ever. You're probably always going to have a running list of things that need to be completed, and learning to give yourself that grace and that rest and that peace, and just like really taking a time to say, okay, this is enough. Tomorrow is a new day.